Hey everyone, Cranky Zeus here, and I am here with a follow-up to my School Ain't So Bad video. I'm currently working on a Halloween video, so look forward to that, and I hope you enjoyed the new intro that I made. So, that took longer than it should have been to get the footage. Anyway, this video is about teachers, specifically the core class teachers, so history, language arts, science, and math. I'll be I'll be talking about all of the teachers I currently have, and after that, one of either my favorite or least favorite teachers from the same subject. I'll be going a little out of order from the previous video, saving history for last because I want to save my least favorite teacher for last. So, we're starting off with English. Okay, so I take back my statement from earlier saying these teachers are either the worst or the best, because my current teacher is far from being the worst, but isn't really the best in my opinion. She's in the middle. So, yeah. I'll call her Mrs. Gatsby because she has a poster of the Great Gatsby in her classroom. So far, she's been a really good teacher. It's more just the curriculum that makes me like her class a little less. But other than that, she's pretty cool. So moving on to the next teacher, which is my second favorite teacher of all time, Dr. Sarcasm. Dr. Sarcasm was, and probably still is, awesome. If you were bad at her class, then you will most likely hate her, but if you were okay or good, then you would love her. She made most units fun to learn for the most part, and she would do just random things for no reason. I remember she had this one plush hammer that she called the grammar hammer, and anytime someone was misbehaving and they didn't notice her, she would just silently walk up to them and hit them with it. It sounds a bit like abuse, but it's fine because it was just plush, so no one was hurt, and it was more of a thing to get their attention. Another time, near the end of the school year, she started walking around and putting stickers on everyone. She started putting stickers on anyone until someone noticed. I saw her almost immediately, but I thought it was so funny that I just decided to keep my mouth shut and see how long she could go until some other student found out. So, yeah, those were two of my favorite English teachers. I know I said Miss Gatsby was in the middle, but she's still a good teacher. I'm just not a fan of the curriculum. So yeah, those were two of my favorite English teachers, and there is one that I absolutely despise, but I don't really want to talk about her right now, because I don't feel like it, so maybe some other time. I currently like science quite a bit now compared to my last video because I'm currently learning chemistry, which is the most interesting science in my opinion. And one of the reasons I like chemistry so much is because of my current teacher, Mr. Chem. Not the most creative name, but I can't really think of anything else, so we're going with that. Mr. Chem is really cool, mostly because he doesn't talk down to any of his students. He treats all of us like equals, and he's pretty casual about it. One day he just sort of pulled out a large jar, not really jar, but like a container of water, and he just sort of asked us if we wanted to see an explosion, and then he took out like a small piece of sodium and then dropped it in. Luckily, the container of water didn't blow up. There was a small reaction, and now we have a burn mark in our ceiling, so yay. Mr. Chem is actually my most memorable science teacher. Granted, it helps that he is my current science teacher, but he gives off an impression like even long after I graduate, it'll be one of those teachers I'll be able to recall easily. I won't really talk about any other science teacher in this segment, mostly because I don't really remember a lot about them. Whether it be because of their curriculum or them just not being all that fun, it's mostly a blur for me when it comes to my science teachers. Good news, I currently don't hate math because, mostly because I am currently learning algebra. I mean, I already knew algebra, but I'm taking another algebra class, and algebra is the best math. You can fight me on that. Please don't actually fight me on that. My current teacher also helps with it. We'll call him Mr. Crayfish, because why not? He's also pretty sarcastic and ends up calling out a lot of the troublemakers in class, but when he does it, it's never really out of ill will. He just wants them to pay attention so he can help them better understand what they're learning. So yeah, my opinion on math has changed for the better. For now. Oh, history. I used to love you so much, but because of a certain teacher, my love for you has dwindled. We'll talk about her last. Let's first start out with one of the cool history teachers I had. Mr. T. Not the actor, Mr. T. Although he is just as cool. Mr. T, there was something about him and the way he taught that made his class so great. Now, there were some things I didn't like that much, like whenever we had to do presentations, but I think it was very energetic, and we were talking about the 2 world wars in his class, so those are always interesting to learn more about. And there was no seating chart for some of a majority of the year, actually, so I ended up getting to sit with friends, which was good. And the specific way he taught meant we could joke around, but we still would be able to pay attention enough to where we would actually do well in the class. So it's basically what you want out of the perfect class, being able to talk with friends and not failing, which is great. So after Mr. T, I had pretty high hopes for this year's history class, but then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Mrs. Dublin, we'll call her that, was not a Mr. T like I had hoped. I'm sure that outside of school and not teaching, Mrs. Dublin would be pretty cool. She seems like a person that would be fun to have a conversation with, but when it comes to teaching, not many people like her, and for good reason. First off, her units drag on for way too long. Whenever you have a 9/11 unit in school, it's normally like a day or two. At most, it should be no longer than a week. But with Mrs. Dublin's class, it took us 3 weeks to get through the 9/11 unit because she had us do just way too many projects. And little did we know, that was just a precursor to what will most likely be the rest of the year. So what I didn't know at the time was 9/11 took place right after Unit 1 in class. Luckily we didn't have a test on Unit 1 because I can say for certain that I do not remember a single thing from my Unit 1 this year. So that's something. Currently we're learning about the Renaissance, and when I first got the little overview paper that she passes out, I saw that it said Unit 2, and that was strange because I thought this was Unit 1, so I asked one of my classmates and they said, no, Unit 1 was before the 9/11 unit, and I was like, but we didn't learn anything. Apparently we did. I just didn't remember. So, her class is so bad that I didn't even recognize when we were learning a unit. So that's a little bad. We should work on that. I will say, the only redeeming quality about her class is at the beginning of the year there were no assigned seats, so I claimed one of the comfy chairs in the room, which was so nice that I often struggled to not fall asleep. That was the only good thing about her class, but every time we switch a unit, we have to switch seats. So I sadly had to give up my comfy chair seat for one of those boring, not as comfortable, regular blue chairs. So yeah, her class sucks. I don't want to leave this video with me seething with rage, so I'm going to talk about my favorite teacher of all time, my 3rd grade teacher, Mrs. A, which stands for Mrs. Awesome. But the main reason she's my favorite isn't actually because of 3rd grade, it was because of 6th. In 6th grade, every student got to be a 6th grade helper to a random teacher near the end of the school day, and I got assigned to Mrs. A's class. It was really fun getting to talk to the other kids, and our jobs were pretty easy. Just clean what needed to be cleaned and make sure the other kids didn't get out of hand. Whenever the semester ended, we were supposed to switch to a different teacher for 6th grade helpers. So it was nearing that time, and to thank all of us, because I was a helper with 2 other classmates, Mrs. A ended up giving each of us our favorite candy bar and a book of our choice from the book fair that was going on at the time. I might have the book with me. It's probably in my room somewhere. I can't really remember the name of it, but it was pretty cool. So that was already pretty awesome, but when I got back from winter break, I found out that I wasn't actually going to be switched to a different teacher. As it turned out, if the teacher wanted, they could keep one of their helpers to stick around for the next semester, and Mrs. A chose me. So that means I was her favorite student, and if I ever meet someone who thought they were, I can tell them this story and prove them wrong. Suck it, Evan.
There's a point where it tips, there's a point where it breaks, there's a point where it bends, and a point we just can't take.
So yeah, while there are certainly some bad teachers out there, I can say without a doubt that a majority of them are pretty cool. You might have different experiences, but this was just mine. So I hope you enjoyed, and this has been Cranky Zeus. Bye!